Welcome SAO survivors! As expected, top tier performance from Sword Art Online Integral Factor to wrap up the year on the same level in a year-over-year comparison, which is a rare feat for most mobile games. Variant Showdown Developer Updates shared a look into character equipment, which looks fairly standard to make the grind in such games more meaningful, although I have some big concerns based on what was shared with us. And Last Recollection. We're expecting the first DLC to drop really soon, not because it was listed for December 2023, and we don't know why the US side listed it for a December release without Japan saying anything at all, but it seems like we may just need to wait a week or two longer for a peculiar, kinda anti-player, but admittedly a very understandable reason, which is also why this video had to wait this long. I was genuinely waiting for the DLC to release. Welcome everyone to Dead Game Report for December 2023, featuring Integral Factor, Variant Showdown, and Last Recollection. I talked about it last month when Integral Factor had its worst month ever back in November 2023, and that it was all for a reason. I'm always glad to be proven right, you know, which, to be honest, is generally not hard to do when you know what you're dealing with, as December performance started very strongly and it allowed Integral Factor to reach the heights it had seen in the December of 2022 and just short of January 2023. Now, as I mentioned, that year-over-year comparison is very valuable, and it's a testament to why Integral Factor has been around as long as it did. Not having a revenue and popularity decay over the years is an incredible achievement for a mobile game. But you know what else does not decay? A train in space! So hop aboard the Astral Express, as Honkai Star Rail is back with its version 1.6 update on PC, PS5 and mobile devices, with a lot of accolades like Best Mobile Game at the Game Awards and Best Game for Google Play and App Store rounding off the year. With over 30 charming and unique characters, version 1.6 brings new maps, events and, as usual, new limited 5-star characters. Ruan Mei is a beautiful and elegant biologist dressed in an equally beautiful Eastern-style outfit. She's mysterious, but that only adds to the elegance, and we all know it. She's an Ice-type character following the path of harmony, increasing the speed and break effects of your characters. On the other side, we have the graceful intellectual Dr. Ratio. A renowned genius with a stone mask. That's a mask, right? Yes, here's that handsome face. But don't be distracted by his appearance or peculiarities. He's there for knowledge only. Dr. Ratio is an imaginary type character following the path of the hunt, featuring powerful follow-up attacks, gaining various buffs based on what debuffs the enemies are inflicted with, and most importantly, harsh and blunt comments. Now, that's what we live for. And you know what's even better? Log in on January 17 for a copy of Dr. Ratio for free. Version 1.6 will take you to a space station where you'll also get to try out a new 4-star character. The new story on the space station will feature the new map, Seclusion Zone, while more updates arrive to this simulated universe. So hurry up, after you watch the rest of the video hopefully, and use the link in the description to download Honkai Star Rail on your preferred platform. Use these codes for 50 Stellar Jade each, alongside a daily login bonus featuring 10 free pulls at the end of 7 days to help you on your journey across the stars. As always, thank you very much to Honkai Star Rail for sponsoring this video, and also taking me back to where I left off with a premium train ride through space. Now, where were we? Trains in space, they don't decay? Alright, no decay in the charts of Integral Factor. Now, December achieved that high level of success thanks to the 6th anniversary celebrations, and then followed up by the Christmas and New Year's banners, clearly carrying that later half of the month. Interestingly enough, the latter half of the month, especially the holidays period, seemed extremely turbulent. Right after the Christmas event story on the 13th, we had a dip. SAOIF recovered from that dip on the 21st, which I can only imagine to be the effect of the Memory Defrag Nostalgia banner, but a single banner that is not so special having such an effect? It's weird to me. Maybe the Japanese side has a closer bond with Memory Defrag, you know, I don't know. The reset on that day had other things like the guild challenge and all chaos dungeon bosses going on, so while I perceive their effects to be negligible in my own experience on the western side, they may actually be more interesting for the Japanese audience. I find it quite surprising that the 24/25th has such a dip too, considering that was literally the 20-hour free pool gift day. Either way, the following reset on the 28th saw another big bump with the Unleash Blading Nostalgia banner. I'm surprised these bumps are so significant for these banners, which is honestly good. There was not much content during these days aside from the banners, so still eliciting a strong return from players with just a banner, that is good. With the holiday period, the game really did not get any content, which made it feel quite barren otherwise. Just the newest Christmas event getting additional rewards here and there, and the same old previous year reruns remaining untouched that everyone was done grinding ages ago. But still, very strong showing for Integral Factor for December 2023 to wrap up the year, and January started just as strongly. We have fallen slightly off in the last 3 to 4 days, but that's a natural drop as we are building up for a new story release. It's, I believe, not gonna be a new floor, but an underground story. We'll see. At the time of recording at least. Steam numbers for Integral Factor, they were up by 20% actually in December, which is neat. I'd attribute this to receiving 2 stories around that early December period. Floor 51 arrived on November 30th, which had a profound effect, and then the Christmas event on December 13 allowed that high period to last a little longer, because remember, peak player counts get naturally higher if the game has the means to tie a player into the game for longer periods of time. I talked very lengthily about it in the previous Dead Game report, so I won't get into it in this one and bore you again with technical explanations. But with the Christmas period, you just gotta spend time with family, I guess. What an amazing drop of about 100 players over that period. January recovered slightly as people returned to their usual habits and daily lives, but not to the heights it crawled back to in December. We'll see what happens when the new story drops. Apparently, Diavel is coming back after dropping down into the oblivion almost 6 years ago back on floor 5. That's an interesting narrative choice, and I am looking forward to what it brings. But that is all I got from Integral Factor, an amazing month of December that led to the game having a considerable uptick, but the thing with anniversary boosts is to actually be able to carry them into a longer period of time. We'll see how that's going next month. Alright, we switch to Variant Showdown now. December's developer update provided us a look into a new feature. I don't know why I said it so excitedly. It's a relatively rudimentary feature for most gacha players, but it is something that will likely provide some value into repeated grind. Equipments are coming to Sword Art Online Variant Showdown. This is part 1 of the new features topic that specifically focuses on the armor update, and we'll be getting more in the upcoming days. They outlined their goal with the armor as making boss battles and quests more fun. Now, I don't know about whether armor drops will make the gameplay side of things more fun, but it will make it more meaningful. That I can agree with. Rather than just playing a random stage once because the daily mission told you to, you can actually go into a mission knowing you are striving towards an armor piece, which, yes, can be upgraded. So let's talk about the attributes that are being given to the armor functionality in the game. They, of course, come with additional stats that improve your characters. That's pretty standard, alongside multiple slots on your characters for multiple different pieces of armor. Now, I do have a problem with the number of slots, and this will only start sounding worse once I move on to the next bullet point too. So let's have a look at the preview screenshot real quick here. Usually, with these types of games, we have 3 slots. Memory Defrag had 3, Unleash Blading had 3, and in those games, remember, weapons were sourced from the gacha, armor from special events, and only accessories were truly farmable. Variant Showdown, in addition to the 3 ability slots that we have already, which are technically the equivalent of weapon slots in MD and UB sourced via the gacha, it will have 5 equipment slots: helmet, armor, gauntlets, bottom armor, and boots. This is all very much preliminary thoughts, of course, without playing the game live, But that many slots, 5 different armor slots to grind for, it just feels too bloated to me. That will end up leading to an excessive grind requirement, and I don't think having high drop rates will help with the issue specifically, because if you have high drop rates, then you'll be bloating the inventory management side of the equation instead, and let's be real, players do not particularly enjoy sifting through their endless inventory. The next point that further exacerbates the problem is that the armor will come with, seemingly will come with randomized stats. Based on the screenshots provided, which I should stress that you should not be taken at face value, as it seems like a development mock-up rather than a screenshot from a live development build, as indicated by everything being Ascension level 3, but that not being shown on the title of the leather armor. But based on the wording and what we can see from the screenshot from their plans, I presume each armor type will have a fixed main stat, and the amount will be based on its rarity, as in leather armor always dropping with main stat of strength, while iron armor having the main stat of vitality. And for example, common iron armor gives you a base of 300 vitality, and legendary iron armor gives you 800 at level 1. Now, before you get confused, vitality is the defense stat in the English translation. If I remember correctly, it's been vitality in Japanese always, that's no change. But we have the addition of the mind stat, interested to see what it does. But anyways, going back to the armor, whereas the substat drops will be completely randomized in terms of which of the 4 stats they will provide and how much they will provide. If there's anything I would add to these assumptions that I have based on the screenshot, which they may just have it, but since it's a mock-up we don't see, is if common armor drops with 1 substat, rare armor drops with 2 substats, legendary with 3 substats, and exotic with 4. You get what I mean, typical RPG scaling on that front. Now, with so many slots and so much RNG involved, that is going to be extremely tedious to grind for, but extremely beneficial and rewarding if you get that stat distribution you want. And they literally said, and if a boss drops an unexpectedly powerful piece of armor, you have our blessing to brag mercilessly about it. So that indeed seems to be their goal with the feature, and if they are committed to that goal, all I can say is, well, I respect that. And with a maximum of 4 substats, you'll be basically looking for either int or strength to not appear for your physical and magic characters respectively as your golden drops. And finally, the armor is not going to be changing the appearance of your characters, which is very understandable. I expected that much, but it was a very good call that they addressed it specifically. Remember, the game already has the accessories feature, which is the transmog of this game. While the accessories feature dictates the visual side of the game, they wanted armor to remain on the functional side. Especially because if armor affected the way you look, it would force you to look a certain way for the best possible stats, even if that's not how you want to express yourself visually in the game. So again, very good call on that one, considering the accessories feature was the one universally loved and highly praised feature of Variant Showdown. They are doubling down on it, and I'm happy about that. But that brings us to the end of the Variant Showdown portion, and last but not least, we come to Last Recollection. The only reason this one is in the video is because we're now officially expecting DLC 1 very soon. The thing is, we've been low-key expecting it for the past 2-3 weeks already. The development schedule has created one pattern back in the Illustration Licorice days. It's that the Steam build was updated in the background pretty much the week before the release of the update. The same thing, the Steam update, has happened a month ago. The QA release for version 1.10, which is the DLC 1 build, was uploaded to Steam, and the development is now proceeding for DLC 2 with the QA debug 120 being updated. However, the DLC 1 finished build was uploaded right before the holiday season, and we expected there would not be a release during the Christmas period, so we were hoping for the first 2 weeks of January on the DLC release, but with it not being released once more, it kinda dawned on us. Last Recollection Deluxe Edition is still on a massive 25% discount that pretty much makes this DLC and the next one free. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned the reason for the delay was likely an anti-player reason, but an understandable one. And that's pretty much what I was pointing towards. It's very plausible that they don't want to release the DLC when the game is on a discount, because a DLC release is a promotional event on its own that will turn a lot of eyes towards the game. You don't want to be releasing a DLC when the discount on your game is currently making that and the next DLC effectively free. It should be ending tomorrow, I believe. I'm not sure, depending on when I actually manage to upload this video. But if that assumption is correct, DLC 1 is basically just around the corner waiting for that sale to be over. There are also other signs that they are basically ready to release the DLC, but I'll keep those to myself since they are easier to moderate, you know, than updating their Steam build, and I wouldn't want to give those away. I'll keep them as secrets. But that's pretty much it from Dead Game Report featuring SAO games in December 2023. Hope you all had a great year and a great start to 2024. Dead Game Report will return next month with January stats and information on all Sword Online games. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon, and until next time, stay cool.